All right, we are going live here on YouTube for episode 81 of the On the Hunt podcast. 81, if you're a Lions fan, obviously a very special number. We'll get into that here in a moment. But first, what I want to do is I want to actually send it over to my guy, Nate Rucker, who is joining me tonight. Nate, talk to the folks a little bit so I can make sure that everything is all set and I can share this link where it needs to go.
First of all, y'all better make sure y'all can hear me because y'all know it's going to be loud and proud. So if y'all can't hear me, then y'all got to figure it out. But nope, I'm muted. Ha ha! Hold on.
I can hear you. I can hear you just
It was
fine.
muted for a second, but and I don't have my light on top of the doggone on top of my little podcast stand. So, but right now we're 10-1. You know, we marching. We marching. Like the song said, we rolling down the field. What is that? 9 in a row right now. So we right where we want to be. And we just ready for this right now, man. We just gotta live up to the hype. This is something different. We've never been favored at any time in any era to be the Super Bowl champions. So that's where we at. So we just gotta live up to the hype. And it's a blessed day. Oh, guess what? People, all our fans, all our lookers, y'all know how I do. See a shot, take a shot. This is where we at tonight.
Is that a pirate cup? It looks like it's got a pirate on the side of it.
It actually does.
Nice. So
I'm glad you can't read that now because of the background.
so Nate,
It wouldn't be a good cup if you were in jail.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because it says surrender the booty.
Oh no, yeah, we don't want to be doing that. You'll get all sorts of friends you never knew you had. Anyway.
Oh no, I don't want that type of company.
So now that we've officially got our PG-13 rating, we'll go ahead and keep it moving here. Let's start off with the fact that it is episode 81, man. Like that is such a blessing, and obviously we would not have gotten to 81 episodes without folks like Nate, Bobby, Reggie, everybody that watches this show. So I know Nate would echo me when I say, thank you for the viewership and hanging with us this entire time. We greatly appreciate it. We started this show back when the Lions were struggling, and now the Lions are on top. So it's cool to be able to be in that spot. And what I will say is that for me, episode 81 is special because 81 is the reason that I became a fan of the Lions. For folks who don't remember me sharing that story, Nate's already heard this story like 5 billion times, but basically, back in the 2007 draft, I told my father, who was a Packers fan, he still is a Packers fan, by the way. I told my dad, whatever team Calvin Johnson went to would be the team that I would root for. And as it would turn out, obviously, as we all know, Lions drafted Calvin. First year that Calvin was there was okay. And then the next year was that 0-16 year. And yes, I still wore my 81 jersey. I had one of those black jerseys. I had an 81 black jersey, and I wore that thing, pretty much all throughout that middle school year. And
Say it loud, say it proud.
I got made fun of relentlessly for it because people are like, how can you like a team that can't win a game? And now, hey, patience has paid off. So, but yeah, 81, that's a special number. But Nate, man, we've done 81 of these things. Can you believe that?
Listen, when you think about where we came from, how we started, uh, from, as we say, a lot of people know our roots, a lot of people don't, but it started from our Facebook Lions group, real true Detroit Lions fans. It was what me, Bobby, and Sean Washington started after leaving another group. It was just, it wasn't for us.
Right.
No bashing, nothing like that. But they were quite unruly. Is a better, I just, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, this isn't him. He's like sugarcoating shit.
Right.
But again, like I say, I mean, all press isn't good press, so we just gonna leave it alone. But we started our own, and then inside our group, we did live discussions after every game, before game. We did pre games, post games, and Eli fell in love with my own little this little quote I used to have, and we would be watching the games, and I would just yell out, "But like stupid boy."
Yeah, poor Amir Abdullah, man.
Man, and
He
you know,
was the
dude,
one more often
I
than
didn't even
not.
know he was still on the roster.
Yeah, Amir, because it was Amir Abdullah. He kept fumbling the ball, and you were like,
Yeah,
"Stupid boy!" And then I would be in the comments just,
yeah, and that's where it started from. So we started from there, and we had our conversation on Messenger, like, "Hey, you think about doing this? Sure." Took us a year, and then when you finally was like, "Hey, are you ready?" I'm like, 4. Then like, are you still down to doing this? And I'm just like, sure. But before we do it, we gotta, it's gotta be like the Avengers assemble. So listen, we had to go get these other group of guys, to get us together. And since then, man, like I say, it's been 81 spectacular episodes. We've seen some of our content used on other platforms where we don't even get they don't even throw us a bone.
right,
But y'all use our exact content,
right.
like, which is crazy. And then everybody now, I think who do watch us, they take us a lot more serious because our prospect watch has put out a lot of gold pieces.
I think honestly, I think that's probably our bread and butter. Is the prospect watch, because you got 4 unique perspectives. Again, Nate, and I don't want to get this wrong, Nate. You played cornerback, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Cornerback and wide receiver.
Okay, so you got Nate, who has experience in that. For me, I did the quarterback thing and I coached. Reggie, I'm pretty sure Reggie played offensive line, right?
Yeah, Church's guy.
And Bobby just studies, man. He is one of those guys, like, he'll watch the all 21. And I got to tell you, that takes commitment, because that was my least favorite part of coaching, was trying to watch game film and trying to notice little things, whereas I'm decent at it now, but like, I'll tell you what, when I was coaching, I hated that, because I'm like, there's so much to look at and you don't want to miss anything. So you end up rewatching the same play over and over again. But yeah, man, like I said, 81 episodes is crazy. And for tonight's episode, we got a couple of topics to get into. First one, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because there's not really a whole lot to say about it. But James Houston getting waived by the Detroit Lions. Quickly, my 2 cents on that. I remember when James Houston got, brought into the Detroit Lions, and I remember obviously his rookie season where he wasn't being used that much. Then he got into the rotation. He dominated when he was in the rotation. And I'll just speak for myself. I thought, all right, we got somebody to go on the other side of Hutchinson, and that's going to be our other defensive end. And these 2 guys are going to tear it up in the league for years to come. And then it wasn't even that next offseason when they said, defensive end. No, he's not going to play defensive end. He's going to play linebacker. And I remember talking with Nate about that. And I'm like, Nate, what are they doing with this guy? And me and Nate both sat there perplexed, because we're like, well, because if you remember, Nate, I remember. They didn't draft a defensive end, and you and I both were like, well, maybe they got that type of faith in Houston that he is that guy. And then it just, and to quote Dan Campbell today, it just didn't work out. There really wasn't that, any other type of details given other than it didn't work out. And I just want to go to our resident defensive coordinator, Nate Rucker. What do you think about all this? Because it wasn't like, we heard about lack of effort or we heard about off-field issues. It just, here's this guy who was there for a moment and then gone the next.
It's one of those things where people hear me say all the time, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So James Houston was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. We know he went to college. He went to Miami, transferred from Miami to James Madison, where he starred there, had 17 and a half sacks, actually tied Aiden Hutchinson coming out that year with the most sacks. Lions gave him a chance. At first, he was still up and down. But if people remember, I always said that if he got the chance from the field and he took advantage of it, he would be a problem. Which actually later on, people got to know his handle was the problem.
Right.
So he got the chance. He was the problem as a rookie. Now, here's the difference. You're on game film your second year.
Right.
Offensive tackles are studying your moves. Everything isn't just about bending, getting lowered in the offensive lineman if you don't have change of direction. Because if you don't have that change of direction, they're just going, when you think you're going to get low, they're just going to slam and just fucking lay on top of you.
Right.
If you don't have counter moves, this is why Aiden, if people really pay attention, Aiden first came into the league, he didn't have a spin move.
Right.
Then his second year, he went from a spin move to a double spin move where he would reverse pivot. He would spin out and then spin right back in to where it has generated so many sacks, so much pressure to where offensive linemen don't have a chance to get their hands on him. He's causing false starts because they don't know what he's going to do. Because we watched the film and he has multiple moves. And they're all set up from the same angle. So I don't know. I can't really guess. Where James Houston, we know he is not a power rush guy. He has everything is going to be speed, speed, speed. It's going to be a right shoulder dip to get around the corner. They know this.
Okay.
Hence why he's been in life. If you pay attention to James Houston, all his sacks pretty much are coming outside. He has to use that speed to get around the corner. As far as him changing direction, creating, a mix-up in the inside, it doesn't happen. So this is why they say, okay, let's try him out at linebacker.
Okay.
To me, I knew that was going to be a failure. What it reminded me of is when the Lions initially drafted Kyle Van Noy. And you take a rush end / 3-4 defensive end, and now you want him to start covering tight ends. Now you want him to start dropping in zone coverage. That's not Kyle Van Noy. This was doomed Kyle Van Noy the moment he was drafted. Then when he goes to New England, guess what? We're going to let you do what you do. Hence now Kyle Van Noy is still in the league. He has been productive every year since he's left the Lions because they let him do what he does. And for James Houston, he's a true tweener.
Okay.
But it's like he doesn't have the hip flexor to really get out and cover. His change of direction, ability to look back for the ball is non-existent. But he can rush the passer. Okay. We're going to let you rush the passer. But now you haven't generated any other counter moves. Only thing, you can only run straight for so long before the fucking street curves. Then what do? Keep running straight?
Right.
Fuck, you're going to run off a cliff. Or you're going to run yourself out of a job. Hence, being waived. If you don't evolve, if you don't continue to get better and work on your craft, you will be replaced.
Now, Nate, as far as James Houston is concerned, obviously, I think it was an ankle injury, if I'm not mistaken, that second year. But I know he broke something, and he was out for the majority of the year until that San Francisco game where he came back last season. how much do you think the lack of being able to be out there, how much do you think that played into him being waived? And how much do you think that injury nagged him after the fact? Or was he just, quite honestly, just didn't have extra moves like other guys developed?
I just don't think he never had the moves. I mean, your ankles are always going to nag, but ankles are going to heal. You continue. But my thing is, when you're not on the field, you're supposed to be getting better with your studying. Now, when I'm going up against these left tackles, now I know what they do.
Right.
So that's the first part of my counter is watching film on them. Like, what do they like to do? How many, steps do they take back before they try to jab me? When do they try to, get that point of contact? Do they let me into their chest? Do they start out arms long? Like, it's so many different things that you have to do. And so you have to be engaged. And him being a young guy, I can't say that's a yay or a nay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But as we know with this coaching staff, if you play hard, they will keep you. They'll find a job for you if you play hard. We see it. Kendall Vildor sucks ass, but he plays extremely hard. And until they get another replacement, guess what? He's on the field.
Right.
But he sucks ass.
Yeah, you and I both agree on that. I put that in the chat. I put that in the chat. I said, "Will somebody please get Vildor's sorry ass off the field?"
I mean, listen, I knew he was bad when we seen what happened in the playoffs and the NFC Championship last year. Ball busted right in the goddamn face. Brandon Ayuk catches it for a touchdown. That was part of the big momentum change.
Yeah.
And like last game, not the Colts game. Well, yeah, it was a Colts game too. They made sure that whoever this dude was checking, we're going after.
Right.
Whether it was Pierce, whether it was Pittman, it didn't matter. Even Josh Downs, he didn't do shit though. After he made the faulty mistake, these guys ain't learned. Stop getting on these reports and talking shit, making these predictions. Because every time y'all do that, y'all stand to end up on the end of an L.
Right.
A la Xavier McKinney.
I have to say, I love the Detroit Lions social media team. I don't know who, specifically to give the credit to. I wish I did, but their social media team has been on something else this year. As far as keeping receipts on what everybody says, finding these clips and making them look foolish week after week. I love it. I love it. So let's move into our second topic for tonight. And again, this is another one that we probably won't spend a ton of time on. But there is a lot of people who are reporting this and who are wanting this and talking about this.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you handle this one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take another shot and go pee. You can handle this.
So obviously, Daniel Jones is no longer a New York Giant. Daniel Jones has been waived and released by the Giants, and he is looking for his next team. And so, what a lot of people are saying in the fandom is, what about if the Lions sign Daniel Jones? And the thing that I keep seeing from some Lions fans, not all, but some Lions fans, is that they want the Lions to pick up Daniel Jones for the rest of this season and let him be the backup quarterback to Jared Goff. Because in their opinion, he would be so much better than Hendon Hooker. And what I don't understand, and I'm talking to the chat right now because we got a bunch of people who are tuning in. We appreciate that. Leave some comments for us. In what universe, seriously, in what universe is Daniel Jones better than Hendon Hooker? In what universe? Because I understand Daniel Jones has been a starter in the league. He's got experience. But if you gave Hendon Hooker that same opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Giants, I dare say he'd have better stats than Daniel Jones did. And again, I realize Daniel Jones was in a messed up situation, and this really isn't a shot at him per se, But it's just to those Lions fans out there. Again, they vehemently believe, oh, Daniel Jones would be better than Hendon Hooker. How? Where? Show me, please. I want to be educated. Now, everybody who watches this show knows that I am a huge Hendon Hooker fan. I wanted Hendon Hooker in Honolulu Blue. He was my other prospect watch. You know, I said I want Jahmyr Gibbs and I want Hendon Hooker. I said whatever else happens, I'm good that draft. But I want Jahmyr Gibbs and I want Hendon Hooker. And I got what I wanted. But I'm just looking at this and I'm going, you know, when Hendon has had the opportunity to play this season, which has not been very many opportunities, but when he's got in the game, even in garbage time, he's looked pretty good. And the Lions are trying to develop Hendon Hooker. You are going to stall his development to bring in a guy who doesn't want to really be here. Whatever team he does end up on, he's just going to use that as an opportunity to catapult it into another starting job somewhere else. So do you really want to get Daniel Jones for like a, let's say, I don't know, 10-game rental, which would then, like I said, take reps away from Hendon? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So for me, I would say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't need Daniel Jones. Now, Nate had an opinion earlier, and I'm waiting for Nate to come back on this because I do want to get his opinion on this. But Nate had an opinion earlier about maybe, you know, we signed Daniel Jones as the third guy, and he's, you know, good for the scout team. I mean, I could kind of see that, but now Nate's back. So Nate, this Hendon Hooker thing, I just put it out there. To me, I think it's stupid because you're going to take reps away from somebody you're trying to develop to give it to somebody who's only going to be here for maybe an 8 to 10 game rental, and then he's leaving. So what is your opinion on it? Because from what I've seen, Hendon's looked good in the time frame that he's been out there.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but then we also have to look at how much experience. Like, yeah, he's 26, but you have to look at NFL game experience. Now, one thing about Daniel Jones, we know he's fast. He may trip himself by himself after breaking a 90-yard run, but he has been an NFL starter.
Right.
We know about the pressure. We know what he can do. Yes, Daniel Jones has all the arm talent. Yes, he has the legs. Whatever reason, it just ain't fitting. And according to Malik Neighbors, hey, it might not all been Daniel Jones.
Right.
But again, I mean, we had Nate Sudfeld. And if people remember, for the longest time, we had the best backup quarterbacks in the league. Think about it. Yeah, Stafford was our guy, but behind him, we had guys who were heralded as the best backups. Where if your starting quarterback went down, if these guys came in, you knew that the game plan wouldn't have to change. You wouldn't have to dumb it down, that they could still, so to speak, handle the offense. Granted, still didn't win a lot of games from it, but
okay, hold on. Time out for a second. Who, is this all a big joke? Like, who are you talking about?
No, think about it. Shaun Hill was actually considered the best.
You're talking like early Stafford, because I'm thinking
no. So think about it. But even before Shaun Hill, Jon Kitna was heralded as the best backup quarterback in the league.
Okay, fair enough.
He was with the Lions.
Yeah.
Then we went from Jon Kitna to Shaun Hill.
And Dante.
You had Jeff Garcia as backup. You had guys who were proven starters now who they thought, hey, you're not a starter, but we're going to keep these guys as backup so that if something happens, if I need to, if this guy just isn't getting it, we know these guys don't have it as starters anymore.
Right.
But if something happens, if there's an injury happens to our quarterback where he can't finish the game, if these guys have got to go 2-3 games, we'll be good. A la Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater was a sought after backup quarterback.
Right.
Because of his mind. Everybody knew, hey, when he left football, he was going to be a coach. He retired from the Lions, and 8 months later, he was named head coach as a high school. Right. Because of his mind. And so this is what I'm saying is that regardless what people may think about Hendon Hooker, at the end of the day, what we want to do is make sure that we finish the story, a la Cody Rhodes. We're gonna finish the story.
And see, I'm on board for that, but
that's it. But these are the same fans and the same people that, as we know.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? Melifonwu's trash. Get rid of him.
Right.
Oh, guess what? Oh my God, we traded up for J-Mo for what? He's not even this. He's not even that. He can't do this. We drafted, oh my God, Bijan Robinson was there. Oh, Jalen Carter was there. But they traded down. Now oh my God, now they got Jahmyr Gibbs. Now guess what? Everybody loves it.
Right. I'm just saying, Nate, when you have Hendon, and he's finally in a spot where he's soaking up everything he can from Jared Goff. He's getting those second team reps. We've heard no complaints about him. Only thing that we've seen is he steadily got better. It's like, I look at it and I wonder, what does it actually do any good to bring in somebody like Daniel Jones, who's going to take reps away from Hendon that Hendon needs to develop into an NFL?
Well, this is the thing. Daniel Jones doesn't need those reps. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but explain it for the folks at home. Because
so basically, you're taking a guy who's already a starter.
Right.
So we have a young guy behind him, but this guy's a starter. He doesn't need these reps. All thing he needs to do is to read the playbook. As far as what he does well, play action, read options, things of that nature. These are things that Daniel Jones has been doing his entire career. Okay. He doesn't need the reps. Only rep he needs to learn, or what he needs to do, is the handoff between him and the center.
Okay.
No, everything else, like he's already been there. He's been there. He's done that. He doesn't need it. Hendon Hooker is going to be the guy, whether fans believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think he came along at the wrong time, and Jared Goff ascended at the wrong time. Because truthfully, I don't think that Hendon Hooker is going to see the field anytime soon. No. Unless there's a catastrophic injury to Jared Goff. Now, what the Lions are smart about, how many passes has Hendon Hooker attempted into a game?
Let me look that up. Look
that up. Go ahead.
I believe the season high for him, which sounds funny when I say it.
Not preseason.
No, I know, but I think the season high for him was like 4 attempts. But let me double check that, because I don't want to be wrong.
So what that does is we keep our secret weapon a secret.
Yeah. So his stat line, okay. He came in against Dallas. He was 1 out of 2 for 19 yards.
Yeah.
And against Tennessee, he was 2 out of 3 for 6 yards. And then against Jacksonville, he was 3 out of 4 for 37 yards, and he had that long throw of 21.
Right. So, now, and the crazy part, they asked Dan Campbell about limited throws from Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
They asked him. We don't listen. We don't need to put him up. We know what he is. We don't need to put any film out there.
Right.
So again, if y'all trusting the process, then trust the process.
Yeah.
Guess what? We don't need to put no pressure. It is what it is. If Jared Goff goes down, we're comfortable. And guess what? Nobody's going to be ready for Hendon Hooker. Nobody knows his skill set. You're going to go back to Tennessee tape because there's no Lions tape. And we are already far ahead to where we know what he does and when he's ready for it.
Yeah.
So guess what? Y'all are the tumbleweed. We're just the sand. Y'all just rolling over us. Keep going. Bye-bye.
So you're saying, and I just want to make sure that I understand what you're saying here, Nate, because I do agree with everything you've said so far. Are you saying bring in Daniel and let him be the third, or are you saying we don't need him? Because I'm saying we don't need him.
Either way it goes, Daniel Jones is not going to affect anything that's happening with Hendon Hooker.
Okay, I got you.
Because again, this is why I say he's a proven starter. Daniel Jones is not going to affect. If we're up 50-6, guess what? You're still not going to see Daniel Jones. You're still going to see Hendon Hooker. Now, if Jared Goff goes down in the first quarter, we'll see Daniel Jones. You won't see Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Again, Daniel Jones is already acclimated to the game speed of the NFL.
Yeah.
So again, it's one of them like you can't go wrong with it, you know. But again, everything, because we're at the top right now, we're at the top of the mountain. The Chiefs are under us, Philly's under us. We're the top, so everything's going to be tied to us.
Right.
And fans got to understand that it's just talk.
Yeah.
We are favored to win the Super Bowl. We've never been favored. We started the season out as a top 5, when it came number-wise for the Super Bowl. And after 11 weeks, we're the favorite.
Right. Which is
because
great.
Everybody has shown flaws. Kansas City has shown their flaws. Baltimore has shown their flaws. Philly has shown their flaws early, even though they're fighting back. They've deviated a little bit and they're leaning on Saquon a lot more than what they were.
Mm-hmm.
But still, when you're talking about the most complete team, all 3 levels, it's us.
Right.
When you're talking about teams that have had bad games this year, we haven't. Sorry, y'all. We step on teams' necks that don't belong in the same system with us.
Right.
I mean, we're not playing down to the level of the competition.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm sorry to say this, but if you're a scrub, you getting scrubbed.
And I did hear, Nate, that on Thursday they're going to be raising an AFC South Division champion banner up in Ford Field. So because we ran through that division. I mean, damn.
Right. And we actually there's like 8 or 9 different scenarios where after Thursday we can clinch our playoff spot.
Which I hope we do. I hope we do. Now let's go into this game here. Thursday, 12:30. It's Thanksgiving, right? Obviously, we all know we're playing the Bears. Nate, I got to tell you, as much as I want to say, we're going to go in and we are just going to handle business and we're just going to beat the snot out of the Bears. Part of me believes, as I look at the Bears, they're going to be scrappy because the last 2 weeks for them, they took Green Bay down to a last-second field goal, which they missed. Then they took Minnesota all the way to the end of regulation, did everything they needed to do to get to overtime, and then they quite honestly just ran out of gas when they got to overtime. I think the Lions win this game, but I would not be shocked if this game is close. I think it's going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to be we're all celebrating by the third quarter because this thing's over, and Shabuzi just put on a great, halftime show, or it's going to be one of those things where we're biting our fingernails at the end saying, do not lose to the Bears right now on Thanksgiving. And part of that, like I said, is the scrappiness of the Bears, but it's also how short of a week this has turned into for the Lions, having to come from Indianapolis to come back and play on Thursday with the injuries that we have amassed. I want to toss it over to you, Nate. What do you think as far as this Lions Thanksgiving? What do you think?
It's still the Bears. It just is what it is.
What?
I
I
really
wasn't. Hey, look, I am at work.
look at hey Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby done hopped in. Bobby done hopped in.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
listen.
yeah. I am at work.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna let
I was
Bobby
hearing.
handle this.
Hey,
Let Bobby
I
talk
heard
his
him talk
shit.
about the Bears. I think the Bears they gonna have a chance or some shit. I heard. I had to stop what I was doing. No, I'm not about to help you. Hold on. Listen.
Oh man.
I don't have. I'm not here for. I'm here for a good time, not a long time. But I love you guys. The Bears are the Bears. They are who we thought they were. I don't care if they ran out of gas or nothing. I love you guys, of course. But once I heard all this sweet nothings about the Bears, I had to risk it all to get on here.
Oh man.
All right, hold on a second.
All right.
Hey, the crazy
Hold on
part.
a second. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I'll send them up front. Just give me a second, okay, guys? Hold on 1 second. Hey, Bob, I need you to go back up front. Yeah, man, I had to risk it all, man. Yeah, hold on a second.
I knew when I saw
Bob
it.
is already on 17.
Hey, you know how I done seen wrestling where dudes done been on the microphone and then the guy start over talking, they looking around like, where the fuck is he coming from? I'm like, I just hear Bobby in the background like, no.
No, I had to tap in.
We should have had entrance music.
He didn't even tell me.
Hey, make
Listen,
the glass shatter like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. He didn't even
Like
tell me he was about to get on.
Oh man. Well,
we
Bobby,
are not about to say nothing positive about them damn Chicago Bears.
Fuck them Bears. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
My man is with me.
Thank you.
So Bobby, real quick, before
brother.
I don't want you to get in trouble. So,
I'm not. I'm going on my break right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
yeah, my 15-minute break.
So my thing was, I was just saying the Bears have played the Packers close and the Vikings close the last 2 weeks. So I was saying it's either going to be a close game or it's going to be an absolute blowout, and we're going to love it on Thanksgiving. I know you hate the Bears, so which way are you leaning on that?
100-0. Fuck the Bears. I can't believe you even asked that question.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's a
100-0.
I think it's a fair question.
But man, I love you guys. I'm working 2 to 11 this week, so I'm a rookie to the management. So this year I have all the holiday closings and shit. So I'm paying my dues and stuff right now.
Well, we're proud of you, brother. We're proud of you. I'm glad you hopped in real quick because I heard too many trying to get in. I said, wait a minute.
I heard too many sweet nothings about the Bears. I said, no, I'm not.
Hey, don't worry about it. Hey, I'm for the guys finna shoot the shit their ass. I was finna shit their ass down.
I was like,
and how you say, hey, look,
I leave, we not gonna turn this into that.
So Bobby's saying 100-0. Bobby, are you able to stay on or you gotta go?
Man, I really gotta go if I'm gonna be doing my job. But I love you guys.
Love you too, man. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, let's end this about the Bears. No more Bears. Good talk. And
it's over. It's my turn.
I'll see y'all next week though. I'll be ready next week, okay, fellas?
All right,
guys. Yeah.
Take care, man.
Yeah.
Always great to hear from Bobby Bless on the show. And now all we need is Reggie Funches to make a surprise appearance, and then we'll have the whole crew here. But Nate, I do want to toss it over to you, man. Again, I'm not trying to give love to the Bears. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying, but Bobby's shooting that shit down, and I don't blame him.
I love it.
The Bears are who the Bears are. I don't care how close they got to Minnesota. Minnesota ain't shit either. Like, Minnesota got Sam Darnold, their quarterback. I keep telling people, so what? Like people, they tried the strategy that we employed, which was just don't let Justin Jefferson get off. Justin Jefferson had 2 catches and y'all still didn't come away. That's because you let the rest of the people beat you, dummies. So then, the Packers. I don't care. The Packers defense ain't shit. Like, we went up and down. This is what I be saying, man. Everybody wants to to see us slip up. Everybody is trying to say, "Oh my God, is this the game that they're going to lose?" That game has been here and gone.
Yeah.
That was Houston.
Fair
That
enough.
was Houston. Now it's right back to business. It's boots to asses. Like y'all act like y'all don't see what's going on. The Bears ain't shit. The Bears cannot stop the run at all.
Okay.
Yes, you still got good pass rushers. You got Montez Sweat, all that. But guess what? Caleb Williams is a turnover fucking machine.
I mean, we called that, didn't we?
We've been said that.
I mean, we said that back during Prospect Watch.
Right. So, with that being said, it just is what it is. He's a turnover fucking machine. And with them safeties back there, and Melifonwu has been activated. So what I want people to be really, really be ready for is the blitz package from last year. I think even without Ayton, they're going to bring back that NASCAR package because of Melifonwu, and you're going to start seeing that safety blitz again.
Okay.
So, and I seen where they activated Manuel Mosley. They feel good about that. So hopefully Mosley and Vildor sees as much fucking field as a cheerleader.
Hey, wait a minute now. Those ladies work hard. Vildor don't
For
even
the money. I know, but goddamn. Listen.
I feel bad
We
though.
don't call a spade.
Because Vildor might be the only player that wants to come on this show, and he's gonna watch this episode and be like, "Well, fuck y'all." But like Vildor, my man, like he literally gave up on some of those routes. Like they showed it. Like he was like with the guy, and then all of a sudden he's like,
the only difference is
covering today.
I look at that and I was like, damn. And I know my age, hey, I can't play. Like,
At least you're gonna give the effort.
But it's like when I was younger, there's certain things, and Bobby will tell you, I always preach technique.
Right.
People are like, oh my God, well, you didn't play in college. Yeah. I was a guy who thought that I was so good that I didn't have to go to class, so on and so forth. Things like that came back to bite me in the ass. But when it came to overall talent, ability, speed, like it was there. So I had the attributes, but no, I didn't make the proper decisions in life. So, fell up short. It's all good and dandy. But I still can tell a bum when I see one.
But
and he don't gotta fucking be eating out of a garbage can.
But for real though, like he legitimately had routes that he was on the receiver 1 minute and then stopped covering them.
Listen,
like
this guy's.
What are you doing?
I think, not being funny, I don't even know if I should. It's like he has ADD while he's playing football. It's like he's checking one guy, the two guy goes around, he's like, "Ooh, wait, there's a new point."
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like it was rough. Like even the announcers were like, "My brother in Christ, what are you doing?"
Like dog. And you seen AG basically stay on your man.
Right.
Don't worry about nothing else. Just stay on your man. Don't look in the backfield. We're not running zone. We're running man to man. How are you getting beat?
And see, that's the thing. Like I tried to give it a little bit of grace. Okay. I tried to give it a little bit of grace, but then I had to tell Grace to get up out the room because if you're running a zone defense, it might make sense to pass him off to somebody else when they go into a different zone. But you're running
passing it, man.
Yeah, but like, come on now. Like,
I
saw that and I went, no.
Anthony Richardson missed some throws.
And they dropped some. Dropped some. Or they had penalties that took it back. I'm like, ooh.
He was beat by 3-4 yards.
Right. So I hope that he's not out there, on Thanksgiving, because if he is, like I said, without giving the Bears love, I'm just going to speak facts. On paper, they got people. You know, they got Swift, they got Allen, they got Adunze, they've got Williams, you know, they've got DJ Moore, right? They also have a tight end. I can't remember his name.
Darnell Washington.
Darnell Washington. So like I said, they got pieces to the puzzle, but they got an idiot for a coach. So that kind of nullifies.
What the fuck? They done threw a fucking toddler back there with the keys to the city as a quarterback.
Right. I mean,
so his fucking onesie gets wet and he fucking turns it over.
Which, like I said, you know, I almost put it in the group chat last week. Whenever they went to overtime, I almost said, fellas, break out the nail polish. Chicago about to win a game. And then all of a sudden, they just shit the bed. I'm like, damn, you did all that to lose. Like, come on now.
Like when I look at it, the only team, if the Packers have a healthy, complete roster,
yeah,
that would be the toughest game.
Well,
reason being is because the Vikings still have Sam fucking Darnold.
Right.
Brian Flores and that Minnesota zero, that zero blitz across the top, that zero coverage that he runs, the Lions completely destroyed it. Ben Johnson looked at that shit and got giddy. He got giddy. And ever since then, people have been they've tried to employ the same things that we did, how we just totally did what we wanted to do against that defense. Y'all just don't have the pieces. Y'all don't have the offensive mind. Y'all don't have the quarterback to execute.
Right.
But every time they went to that zero across the top, it was a touchdown. It was an easy completion. Like, even when they went to that 4x1, that 4x1 offensive set. So people don't know what a 4x1 is. It's when you have 3 wide receivers on one end and you have 1 wide receiver on the opposite side. Whether it's a wide receiver or it's a running back, but you have 4 skill positions out on the field at one time. 3 on one side, 1 on the other. And what you're really, really employing, you want to do a lot of crossing. You want to do a lot of crossing. And you want to get guys bumping into each other. You're hoping for picks. You're hoping for guys not paying attention, and you want to cause confusion. But the Lions simply just said this shit ain't good enough.
Right.
We don't. Your 4x1 does nothing. You know why? We play man coverage. We don't have to pass you off.
Right.
And that's how that 4x1 was completely shut down. Now, they got lucky because Aaron Jones had a unconventional good game against the Lions, because normally the Lions knock the hell out of him, and he fumbles. He fumbles a lot against the Lions. But for us, had a good game, but ain't nobody worry about them. None of them. Like, I said we may win, we may lose 1 game in our division. 1.
I think if we beat the Bears on Thursday, I don't think we lose a game in the division, to be perfectly honest. I really don't. Like, I think we wrap this thing up.
I honestly think the 1 game we lose is to the Bears, but it's in Soldier Field. It's in Chicago.
Okay. Which for them, I mean, that's like the Super Bowl. So they'll be happy.
Right. That was the one play. That was the one. Not even worried about Lambeau.
Be watching.
I really, Chicago, that wind is so terrible. If you've never been to Chicago in the winter, man, and walked through downtown, it's like, I don't know what Spartacus went through when he was getting hit by spears, but that's how that wind be slicing the shit out of you. I'm telling you. Listen, man, you need 3 pair of socks, 3 pair of pants.
Well, listen, if they beat us at Soldier Field, then there's going to be a lot of men, older men, dressed up like, Mike Ditka, getting their nails painted, because their franchise quarterback, Caleb Williams, has led them to the biggest win they've had in years. But like I said, so let's look at the next 3 weeks here. Obviously, you got the Bears. Nate just disappeared on me. I don't know what happened. He was there for a moment and then he disappeared. So hopefully we'll get Nate back here momentarily. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe his phone ran out of battery. But I'm all by myself now. That's not how I intended it to be. But anyway, we've got the Bears obviously on Thursday. Bobby and Nate both gave your opinion on that. Then we have a Thursday night football game on December 5th. That'll be at home against the Packers. And then December 15th will be a 425 contest taking on the Buffalo Bills. That's kind of where I want to go next with the conversation, but I do want to wait and see what happened to Nate Rucker, because Nate was there for a moment and then all of a sudden he went away. I don't know what happened. I didn't hit a button or nothing, so I don't know. But Nate, if you can hear me, if you are watching, my friend, I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. But hey, we got a bunch of people watching at the moment. Leave me some comments. I'd love to address some of the things that y'all are thinking about when it comes to the Lions. I know we got a couple of folks who are tuning in right now. And again, I'm just waiting to see if Nate pops back up or if I need to do this solo here for the rest of the show. I hope not. I hope not, because obviously I find it to be way more entertaining when we do have Nate and Bobby and Reggie on. Which, by the way, when it comes to Reggie Funches, I know he hasn't been here in a minute, but obviously he's still a part of this podcast, and he's just been busy, busy with life things going on. And like I said, every week we look forward to the next time Reggie Funches can be on the program. And again, this is episode 81. So again, I don't know what happened with Nate Rucker, but he was there for a moment and then he disappeared. So if I don't get Nate back here, and we'll say about 3 minutes, and we'll keep this thing rolling down the tracks here. But I know that for the next 3 weeks, these are pretty big games for the Lions coming up. Again, the Bears happening on Thursday at 12:30, our annual Thanksgiving game. I'm hoping for a victory there. I really am. I want to be as confident as Nate and Bobby are in what our Lions can do. And it's not really so much an issue of what our Lions can do. It's just more of I see this game going one of two ways. Either one, we're all very, very happy by the third quarter because this thing is over, or this thing goes down to the wire and our Lions still figure out a way to get it done, but it does go down to the wire. So that's kind of, like I said, I see it going one of two ways there. But the Bears, again, on Thursday at 12:30. Then, like I said, we got that Thursday night football matchup taking on the Green Bay Packers, who at the moment, they're feeling pretty good about their season. Although it's interesting, they got 8 wins on the year, and yet they're third place. That's just how tough our division is. So again, 8 wins get you third place, apparently, in the NFC North this year. That's obviously my father's team. So every time the Lions play the Packers, I can always expect to hear smack talk from my father, which makes that game, all the more meaningful, to be honest with you. And then, like I said, December 15th, 425, Lions taking on the Bills. And that's going to be a big game. I honestly think Lions and the Bills might be a preview of this year's Super Bowl. And I realize for the Bills and the Lions to make it to the Super Bowl in the same year, that really would be storybook right there. That really would be storybook. But I believe there's a good chance of it happening. The Bills, I feel like for the last few years, all they've really lacked was a star running back. And they now have one in James Cook. The problem for them, we got 2. We got David Montgomery and we got Jahmyr Gibbs. So I think that game on December 15th at 425, that one might even get flexed, to be perfectly honest with you. That might get flexed to a better time slot than 425. But I think that game might be a preview of the Super Bowl between the Lions and the Bills. I'm not sure if y'all agree with me on that, but like I said, that's where I'm kind of coming from on that one. Again, Lions and the Bills, December 15th. But I'm hopeful for a Lions victory on Thursday. I hope they keep this thing rolling down the track so that, that December 15th game, maybe we're locking up more than just a victory against the Bills. Maybe we're locking up our playoff spot. Hey, maybe we're locking up the whole division. That would be nice to not have to wait until really, really late in the year to figure that out. Because like I said, I know we already have a victory over Minnesota. We already got a victory over the Vikings. If we beat, the Bears and the Packers, that's 4 wins in the division. Maybe, like I said, maybe by that time that Buffalo Bills game rolls around, we're talking about more than just, like I said, beating the Bills. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So far, I have not seen Nate Rucker hop back in the chat, so I don't know what happened. I'm thinking maybe he ran out of battery, because that happens to Nate every once in a while with his cell phone. So maybe that's what happened. Obviously, if he hops back in, I'll make sure to let him back in here. But to keep things moving down the tracks here, I guess I should probably give you my prediction score-wise for that Bears-Lions matchup. Bobby said, and I know he meant it with everything in his being, he said 100-0 Lions win. I know he believes that, and I know that if he got that score, that would be a very interesting podcast afterward for sure. I know with Nate's usually, if he says, hey, we're going to put boot to ass, usually that's somewhere in the vicinity of like 42-14 or 42-17 or something like that. Again, if he hops back in, I'll let him speak for himself. But for myself, I'm going to say, and again, I really want to go with that boot to ass thing. I really do. But I'm thinking it's going to be a closer game. I'm going to stay with that. I think it's going to be a closer game. I'm thinking it's going to be 21-17 until the final couple minutes of the game, where I think the Lions get a put away touchdown. Final score 28-17. That's what I got for you. 28-17. I think the Lions beat the Bears on Thanksgiving. We all feel good about it. But again, I think it's going to be 21-17 for a while, and then the Lions put it away at the end. That's what I think is going to happen. So, like I said, 28-17, that's my prediction. Lions over the Bears. And I'm just writing that down in my notebook so that if I'm right, I can show you. And if I'm wrong, I can tear this page out and never show nobody ever again. And as far as some of the other topics that we were going to try to get into tonight, I'll just run this next topic quickly here. And again, if Nate hops back on, I'll let him in and we'll have a little bit more of a normal show here. But I don't want to just sit out here and talk at you all by myself. So one of the other things Nate and I was going to bring up is the Georgia Tech-Georgia game happening on Friday night at 7:30 on ABC. Now, we were going to bring this up because I'm a Georgia Tech fan, and Nate is a Michigan fan, but also a Georgia Bulldog fan as well. So that is why we were going to bring up that game, because it has significance to the two of us. And as far as that game is concerned, Georgia coming in with a pretty good record. Georgia knows they're going to go to the SEC championship game regardless of what happens against Georgia Tech. So they know that. So they'll be going to Atlanta the week after to take on whoever they end up playing in the SEC championship game. And so their aspirations for their season are still very much ahead of them. For Georgia Tech's won 7 games this year. They know they're going to a bowl game, but they also know that they would love to beat Georgia. It'd be the first time in 6 years if they can pull that off in Athens. And one of the storylines in this game is going to be the Georgia Tech quarterback situation. So, again, I don't expect you to know all this, especially if you're a Detroit Lions fan and, all you care about is Michigan-related teams. You probably know nothing about the Georgia Tech team, which is okay. Because here's the basics, all right? Haynes King is the starting quarterback for Georgia Tech. He's a very good quarterback. I compared him to Jared Goff. I think he's a more mobile version of Jared Goff. And if you look at his stats, they're similar. The issue is he got an injury to his shoulder a few weeks back. And so he has not been able to throw the ball more than like 10, 15 yards down the field because of the shoulder injury and the brace that he wears on it. But he's still playing because he has that grit and that toughness, and he wants to do whatever he can to help his team. So again, very much like a Dan Campbell type player. That's why I brought him up on last week's program. Because of his injury, if he can't play and run the whole offense, chances are they'll still have him out there for a couple of quarterback runs. But then, if that is a situation where he can't throw the ball, they have to go to true freshman quarterback Aaron Philo. And Philo last week led a 75-yard touchdown drive to win the game against NC State on Thursday Night Football. That was a pretty big deal, okay, that he was able to do that. And Aaron Philo, this Georgia game, I have a feeling means a lot to him. And here's the connection between Philo and Georgia. So Aaron Philo went to Prince Avenue Christian School. They are located in Bogart, Georgia. Bogart, Georgia is 14 miles away from the University of Georgia. So practically in their backyard. Aaron Philo at Prince Avenue Christian, which is a smaller private school, threw for 14,000 yards in his high school career and over 150 touchdown passes and won 2 state titles in the state of Georgia. And despite all of that, which included breaking Trevor Lawrence's records as a passer in the state of Georgia, despite all of that, the Georgia Bulldogs never offered the kid a scholarship. They never did. Despite the fact that he threw for, like I said, 14,000 yards, over 150 touchdowns, won 2 state titles, and was literally in their backyard, they never offered him. So he goes to Georgia Tech. And this game is going to be in Athens on Friday night at 7:30 on ABC. So if Aaron Philo ends up having to play in this game, I have a feeling, okay, he's going to be hyped because he understands what this game means. He grew up watching it. All these players did for both of these schools. And what's so cool about that Georgia Tech-Georgia rivalry, in my opinion, is that, you know, you got kids on these teams who literally played together in high school, or they played against each other in high school. So there are deep-seated roots between these two teams. And this game actually matters. And it's not just me saying that. I mean, look, the television networks could put any game on TV that they want to, and they're choosing to put this one, 7:30 ABC on Friday night. They obviously believe this is going to be a good game. And last year, when Georgia Tech played Georgia, final score of that one, I do believe, was 31-23. So it was a pretty good game. Georgia Tech had Georgia on the ropes, and they kind of let it slip through their hands. So we'll see what happens. But against Nate Rucker's Georgia Bulldogs taking on my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and another member of our studio, Donnie Despa, he is a huge Georgia fan. So he is another person who will, no doubt about it, be excited about that one. And I do believe Nate Rucker is hopping back in here. Good to have Nate back. I don't know what happened, but Nate, how's it going, my friend?
Man, my phone died. I couldn't find the damn charger.
I knew it. I said it on the broadcast too. I said, I'm pretty sure his phone died. But my friend, where we're at the moment is we're talking about that Georgia Tech Georgia game. And I was
right on time.
Yeah, I was just telling everybody, and I'll give you these details because I know you'll appreciate this story. But everybody in the chat act like you haven't heard this before. But Nate, there's obviously the big question for Georgia Tech is who's going to start at quarterback for them? Because Haynes King has had a shoulder injury that has been nagging him to the point where he can't really throw the ball at the moment. And against NC State, when he would come in, NC State knew, okay, he's either going to throw bubble screen, tunnel screen, or he's going to run. So they just loaded up the box. That's what they did. And so, you know, he was kind of nullified in that game because of that. But he has said that he might be a little bit more healthy for this Georgia game. So we'll have to wait and see on that part. But if Haynes King cannot start the game, if he can't play in the game to the extent that he wants to, the backup for Georgia Tech is Aaron Philo. And I was telling everybody in the chat that Philo went to school at Prince Avenue Christian School in Bogart, Georgia, which is 14 miles away from the University of Georgia campus. And when he was at Prince Avenue Christian, which is a smaller private school, he threw for 14,000 yards in his high school career, had 150-something touchdown passes to go with a whole bunch of rushing touchdowns. He ended up winning 2 state titles at Prince Avenue Christian and broke Trevor Lawrence's passing records in the state of Georgia. He did all that, and Georgia did not offer him at all. They did not offer him a scholarship, even though he was 14 miles away from their campus. And so what I was telling everybody is, being that this game is going to be in Athens, if Haynes King can't play to the extent that he wants to, and Philo gets that opportunity, that kid's going to be hyped to play at Georgia and show them what they missed out on, who was literally in their backyard. And on top of that, last week when Philo did have to play against NC State, he ended up leading a 75-yard game-winning drive with one timeout left.
That's NC State. We're like, let's be honest.
Okay, but still though.
That's okay. Listen, we want to give him trophies for participating and playing football in the state of Georgia. That's fine. But if you don't get offered by Georgia and you're in Georgia, I'm just saying.
I think it has more to do with the fact that Georgia has so many people that they look at that
But remember, Georgia doesn't let. But even with that, Georgia recruits their top athletes in the state.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, okay. Like if Philo was the number 2 quarterback in the state of Georgia, he would have been at Georgia.
Maybe. But
no, because they would have won. Remember, he wasn't even offered.
Right. Well,
so
and
that tells you
that's based off of his recruiting profile that I found.
Right.
Now,
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So
now maybe they did have conversations with him, but I also know that Georgia Tech was in on that kid early. Because Georgia Tech's quarterback coach, Chris Winkie, who was the Florida State Heisman Trophy winner, you know, he was in on Aaron Philo, I think, in his sophomore season in high school.
None of that matters when you're talking about NIL deals. You're talking about national television. You're talking about cream of the crop, elite competition. You're talking about possibly going to the next level, which is every player's dream is to the NFL.
Right.
So if Georgia offers you, you go to Georgia. Or like wait a minute, a la Jahmyr Gibbs, remember, he was at Georgia Tech. He said, you know what? I need to go and really, really showcase my skills at a bigger school, because the bigger school is going to get me to the NFL.
Well, that plus the Georgia Tech team that Jahmyr Gibbs was on was not very good. I mean, I can admit that to everybody, because that's not going to hurt nobody's feelings. Like, they were not good. Jahmyr was running for his life and doing everything he could. And Jahmyr's even said that. Like, he's got love for Georgia Tech, but he's like, when I was there, we were not very good. But my point is that, you know, as far as like the, you know, top players in the state go to Georgia, yes and no, because there's another player who Georgia really wanted, and they got spurned on it, and that was Mr. Calvin Johnson. They wanted Calvin. They knew about Calvin, but what ended up happening, and I have this on good authority, and I'm talking good authority.
I know from Reggie.
That's right, my guy. So when Reggie Ball took Calvin for his visit, he said, all right, we need to get Calvin back in his hotel room at this specific time. No crazy stories, right? Well, when he went to Georgia, they didn't do that. And so that ended up making the difference, because Georgia had Calvin out way too late.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. So it comes down to, when you're talking about recruiting, fortunately, this is a process that I've been through. Mm-hmm. And it's truthfully about, you want to find the angle that reaches each player.
Right.
Because players, we all look at different things. Some of us look at the program itself. Like how prestigious is this program? How many titles does this program have? Right. What is the current ranking of this player? How many players have went to the NFL from this school? So there's always a different criteria. And then you have to look at that player's overall moral compass. Mm-hmm. And that's how you dictate their visit.
Right.
So, and it's crazy, because I remember I went on a visit to Western Michigan. And me and one of my brothers, we talk about this all the time. And there's a guy I had on my visit. His last name's Kimborough.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
Has the statute of limitations for whatever you're about to say, has it?
I'm not. But
Okay.
so listen. So I went through his time and he had on the vest, he had on the sweater vest and all this type of stuff. You know, I had just left. I was at Ferris the weekend before. It was party. It was showing me the ins and outs. I come from the city. So when I went up there with that, it was a la Reggie Ball. And it didn't attract me. It didn't, my antennas didn't raise up because I'm like, wait a minute. I'm from the city. This is what I know. Like, show me something that's familiar. Like it has to feel like home. So with Calvin, it was easy because, hey, everything was church. Everything was dotting the I, crossing the T, in the bed at this time, in the house at this time. So his visit lined up perfectly with what his structure and his foundation was.
Right.
Which is why Georgia failed. So that's what I look at. But when we talking about Philo, we talking about Philo. No, I'm just talking junk.
And here's the thing about Aaron Philo, which again, I get where Nate's coming from. It was NC State. I'm not saying crown the kid. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you saw him grow up right before your eyes. Because that was the situation. Because
I can't even say he grew up. That's like, you got 3 brothers, right?
Right.
Okay. The older brother's 17. You're 13, and then you have a 15-year-old brother. So guess what? You went toe-to-toe with the 15-year-old brother, and you're feeling good about yourself at 13. Now, the next day, you want to tackle the big brother. And then you realize just how bad and just how big of a difference it is.
And that was the other point. That's where I'm going with this, Nate. Is that, you know, again, for Georgia Tech, they got to figure out who is starting at quarterback. Like when they released the depth chart, it said Haynes King. Well, here's the deal, folks. It said Haynes King last week too. And I love Haynes King. I love the way that man plays a game of football. But like he's also got to realize you got a whole future ahead of you, man. You got a whole future ahead of you. Like, you know, and he's out there running the ball with a shoulder injury. It's like, man, I don't know. I don't know about that. But if Philo plays in this game, like I said, I think he's going to be hyped up. I know every player on that field is going to be hyped up. Hell, I'm going to be hyped up sitting on my couch watching the game because this is the biggest one of the year, every year for me. It's the Lions Thanksgiving game and Georgia Tech. Those are the only 2 games I really care about every year in football. And obviously Super Bowl will be added to that later on, you know, next year. But I think Philo is going to be hyped up to play this game, but he is a freshman. He is young. And so I think Georgia is looking at that as an opportunity to make, you know, kind of lure him into some stuff and into some throws that maybe he wouldn't otherwise make or try to make because of his inexperience. But the thing about Georgia, though, that I look at as like an is the fact that they lead the nation in drop passes. They lead the nation in drop passes. And in their own conference, they are 3rd worst when it comes to contested catches. So they can't catch the ball when it's in their hands. And when there has to be a fight to catch the ball, they don't really have a lot of fight to try to catch it. And then their quarterback, Carson Beck, loves to throw it to the other team. In fact, he's 5th in the nation when it comes to most interceptions this season.
Okay. He's like Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and like he's very streaky. He's very streaky. Like if you get a good Carson Beck, you're gonna have a great night. If you get a bad Carson Beck, it's gonna be a rough night at the office. And you know when it comes when it comes to their offensive line, they've let Carson Beck, and I don't want to say they've let Carson Beck because he holds on to the ball way too long sometimes too. But he's been sacked 16 times. This Georgia Tech offensive line, they've only let their quarterbacks get hit 5 times all season. So again, I think this is going to be a very, very even game between these two teams. I think it's going to be a very good game. Again, my biggest question is it going to be Haynes King at the controls for Georgia Tech? In which case I feel very confident that Georgia Tech will win this game. Or will it be Aaron Philo at the controls? In which case I feel less confident, but I still think they could get it done. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on it. Nate, how do you see it from where you sit?
I'm sorry, Eli, what'd you say?
I said, Nate, how do you see this game from where you sit? Because I know you're watching it.
You already know what I'm about to say.
You think it's going to be a good game, though, right?
I think Georgia Tech has a better chance if Kane played. Haynes ain't playing, and they're really banking on Philo. Georgia's just gonna come after him. There's gonna be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I really think I'm looking at 48-7.
Damn. See, I don't think it'll be that bad. I really don't. Like, I think
because Kirby Smart, they're not going to let this kid just sit back there and be comfortable.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. We're not going to sit here and let you get comfortable, get in a rhythm, and try to make a name against us, whether it's a loss or a win. Mm-hmm. They're not going to sit here and say, "Oh my God, they lost, but he was 21 for 25 for 363." No, that's not going to happen.
Well, and here's the other thing that you and I haven't discussed: the running game. You know, for Georgia Tech, the running game is a two-headed monster. You got Haynes King, and you also have Jamal Haynes. And Haynes has been kind of banged up the last couple weeks, but if he is healthy and King is healthy, well, then we got something we're talking about here, because Georgia Tech averages 180 on the ground, which is 50 more than what Georgia averages. So with the reason why I bring that up is because they will limit the possessions. And it'll be one of those games where Georgia's sitting on the sideline being like, are we ever going to get the ball again? Kind of like what Detroit does with Jameer and David Montgomery. But if Haynes King is not playing, Philo is not that same type of mobile quarterback that King is. So that's the other factor. You know, if you have to play Philo the whole game, you better hope you can run the ball. Because if you can't, then yeah, Nate's prediction is probably accurate. But if they can run the ball, which Georgia has let teams do this year,
they have.
That could, and again, I go back to what I said about Georgia's offense. Carson Beck can throw it on a dime, and they still drop it. And the only reason I bring that up is not because I'm a Georgia Tech fan who's trying to shit on Georgia. It's because Georgia don't typically do this shit. They don't typically lead the nation in categories like drop passes and things like that. That's why it's relevant, because again, I saw against Alabama, they had wide open dudes and they dropped the ball. And I'm just looking at it going, I'm like, all right. And Carson Beck, man, he tries to put on that Superman cape and it ends up being a fucking Bizarro cape sometimes. Cause like, Jesus, like he's throwing it to people that don't exist. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I think this is going to be a good one. I really do. And Michigan, Ohio State is obviously the next day at noon. Nate, you're a Wolverine fan. How are you feeling about that?
Not good at all.
Do you have a score prediction?
Man, it's gonna.
I'm rooting for Michigan. I always do.
Listen, I'm gonna root for Michigan, but I think it's gonna be a rout. I mean, if Will Johnson plays, that changes a little bit as far as what they can do, you know, from the wide receiver aspect. Josiah Stewart's going to have a great game. Mason Graham's going to have a great game. Kenneth Grant going to have a great game. Micah Page going to have a great game. And then the Buckeye killer, Donovan Edwards, is going to have to show up. You know, David Warren is going to have to fucking shit How the fuck is he even a scholarship quarterback, man? Like, dude.
I haven't had the privilege of watching any Michigan games this
You
year.
haven't missed
I
nothing.
always root for Michigan, and that's no bullshit. Like I've always liked Michigan. I love their helmets. I love their uniforms. Like I love the whole thing about Michigan. Like if I was in Michigan, I'd probably be a Michigan Wolverine fan. And I can't really stand the Buckeyes, to be perfectly honest. I've never really liked them.
Yeah, Bobby's not on here. They
Yeah.
suck.
Bobby gonna hop back in. We're gonna deny the call. But as far as where is that game, Nate? Is it at the Big House or is it at the Horseshoe?
I think it's at the Horseshoe this year.
Shoot. Okay. All right.
But it may be in Ann Arbor. It may be. Don't have me quote because I have not actually checked it yet. That's how crazy this season has been. Let's find.
Yeah, it's at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm rooting for Michigan though, man. I'll be rooting for you and your team. Friday night we're enemies, but on Saturday we're back to brothers. So But like I said, those are the two rivalry games that I think are the most fun every year is Georgia Tech and Michigan Ohio State. And the other one that I always love, and it's not happening this weekend, but I always love Army Navy because of what that game represents. So I always love that one. I always tune in for that one. But to me, the best rivalry in college football, I believe, is Georgia Tech, followed by Michigan Ohio State. I know a lot of other people would
actually. I love Auburn and Bama.
That is a good one.
Auburn and Bama, Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan and Michigan State's a good one.
That is a good one.
Texas and Oklahoma is a great one. Texas and Oklahoma is a great one. And then it's not anymore, but Oregon and USC used to be real good.
Yeah. Well, there is one that's coming back after many years of not playing.
And Michigan and Notre Dame used to be good as well.
Yeah. But the one that's coming back this weekend that has not been played in years is Texas and Texas A&M. So I think that'll be a very important game. That'll be an important game for Georgia for sure because they're trying to figure out who they're playing in the SEC championship game. But I believe it'll either be Texas or Tennessee, depending on what happens. I think if Texas loses to Texas A&M and Tennessee beats Vanderbilt, I'm pretty sure it'll be Tennessee-Georgia rematch SEC championship game.
Right.
Don't quote me on that. But if Texas
No, you're right. You are correct.
So, and I'm personally, I want to see Smokey and Uga go do battle again. That's what I want to see. But like I said, man, every year the two football games I care about the most, you got Thanksgiving football with the Lions and Georgia Tech. So I'm hoping that by Sunday I'm a happy man. We'll see. But like I said, 7:30 on Friday night on ABC. They think it's going to be a good one, and I agree. I really do. I think it's going to be a really, really solid game. It was last year, man. Last year was nuts because I wasn't sure what to expect. From this upstart Georgia Tech team, I'm like, well, let's see. And they hung in there. They hung in there. So, like I said, we'll see what happens on Friday night, and I'm just praying. I'm praying to the football gods. Please let Haynes King be okay. Let him, because you know what? It was sad a little bit watching him against NC State, Nate, because you're an athlete. You get where I'm coming from with this. There was a couple plays where he had dudes running wide open, and he knew he couldn't get it to him. So he had to take the check down. And I'm like, I know that kills him. Because he's like,
But you know what? That's also a testament to his mental capacity because he's still not going to put his team in a bad situation by trying to make something that he can't do.
Right. That's true. And Philo, like I said, he ain't getting the throws, but I worry about the youth and inexperience. That's what I worry about. But like I said, we'll find out Friday. Friday can't come quick enough. But before we get to Friday, we got that Bears matchup. I told everybody my prediction, Nate, before we wrap this thing up. My prediction was I think the game's going to be 21-17 until the final minutes of the game where Detroit gets another touchdown to put it away. I'm saying 28-17, Lions over the Bears. What do you think?
I'm thinking 35, 35-17. And I even think 17 is pushing.
Okay. I told everybody you were going to say 42-14. So I was close. I was close. But Nate, we are past 8 o'clock, my friend. So we'll go ahead and do our closing remarks. I'll let you go first.
Man, again, listen, as we know it, we are no longer, we're no longer the hunters, you know. But at the same time, we still are. We're hunting from the top. And Dan Campbell makes sure that his guys remember that. We are hunting from the top. We have an end goal. We have an end goal. And that's what we have to do. So what we want to do is handle business. Handle fucking business. The Bears are beneath us. We have stomped the teams that are beneath us. Cowboys beneath us, crushed them. Jags beneath us, crushed them. I mean, crushed them.
Right.
Any team that we were favored by double digits, we have crushed them. Like, no team in the league this year has more 20-point wins than us. Let's fucking keep it that way. And keep pushing through it.
I love it. For my closing remarks, I'll just say what I always say, which is, hey, I'm thankful for everybody that watches this program. Thank you for doing that. I want to thank my brothers for starting this program with me. Nate Rucker, Bobby Bless, Reggie Funchess. Again, without them, there is no show. So I want to thank them for riding with me for 81 episodes. And we look forward to having
Let's go!
82 very, very shortly. I'm looking forward to getting back to some more of our giveaways as well. Might even have a giveaway for everybody next week. I'll have to let y'all know about that. But again, for right now, I want to encourage you. Hey, if you come across a situation where your skill set can make it better, you now not only have the ability, but you got the responsibility to do something about it. And remember, my friends, as my pawpaw would always say, every day is an opportunity to make your life a little bit better and the lives of those you love. So get out there and take advantage. All right, my friends, for Nate Rucker, Bobby Bless, Reggie Funchess, and myself, Elijah